video. Today we're doing 2 NBA player props here on PrizePicks for Wednesday, January 10th. Before we get started, you guys, take a look at the description below. Check out our premium Discord, $9.30 per month, 31 cents per day. So where I post all the plays I'm making on PrizePicks. We also have other premium cappers in there as well. They post all their plays, research, and analysis. Overall, super positive community in there. I also want to mention I'm not a gambling expert, and this is not financial advice. Simply just the plays I'm personally looking at making. Hopefully give you guys some insight and analysis to then make your own player prop decisions here. Again, no one's pressing submit on those parlays other than yourselves. But let's get right into it, you guys. We have a massive NBA slate today. Not a full board currently, me recording this video, but definitely a ton of value in my opinion here. Let's not waste any time. You guys, again, not a gambling expert. It's not financial advice. Just the plays I'm personally looking at making. Let's get right into this. The first play, targeting is a fantasy score line. It's going to be Benedict Mathurin, over 26.5 fantasy score here. No Tyrese Halliburton. And for Benedict, he's over this line in 4 of his last 5 games, just playing extremely well here. Coming off a game where he really led the Pacers to that win against Boston. Obviously, the controversial call at the end of the game. But over this line in 4 of his last 5 games. And in obviously these 4 games, Tyrese Halliburton played. So without Tyrese Halliburton, well, first of all, let's just look at this matchup, right? 2 of the fastest paced teams in the NBA. We're looking at 252.5 over under, a home game for Indiana, where Benedict's all of his numbers go up significantly at home. He averages 15.8 points per game at home, 3.9 rebounds, 2.3 assists, more steals, more 3-pointers made. Takes more field goal attempts, more 3-point attempts. Just overall, his numbers across the board go up when he does play at home. And if we take a look at his fantasy score game log this season, 1, 2, 3, almost every single game he's gone over this line, except for 2 have come at home. So we know Benedict likes to play at home. He plays a lot better at home. We take a look at the on court here without Tyrese Halliburton on the floor. Without Tyrese, and let's actually filter this at home. We see here who has the, obviously we're not going to count Oscar here, but Benedict has the highest usage rate on the team at home. He averages 38.1 fantasy points per 36 minutes. And if we take a look at that differential, for Benedict, he averages a 5.2 more percent usage, 4.7 more points per game, and averages 6.7 more fantasy points per 36 minutes and 0.2 more fantasy points per minute with Tyrese Halliburton off the floor. Now, if we just do this to all, like not just home, we can see here Benedict Mathurin, 36.5 fantasy points per 36 minutes, sees the highest usage on the Pacers without Tyrese Halliburton. Now, we know the Pacers, their defense also takes a hit without Halliburton on the floor, which is why I think this game will be close, competitive, with just no defense at all. We take a look at these teams. Both these teams play at the fastest pace in the NBA. Pacers 1, Wizards 2. And we look at the defensive ratings for both these teams, right? Pacers, 5th worst defensive rating, and the Wizards, the worst defensive rating in the NBA. Now, taking a look over on Outlier, again, there's a link in the description. You get a 7-day free trial with Outlier here. Most of these plays, or most of the odds here, positively correlate to Benedict's fantasy score. He's minus 230 to get a steal or a block tonight, minus 145 to get a steal, over 21.5 PR, minus 127, over 19.5 PA, minus 121 here. And you can just see the matchup. Washington completely in the green in all these kind of stat categories, 2 opponents specifically. We look at Benedict Mathurin, his fantasy score game log last season without Tyrese Halliburton when he plays 30-plus minutes. You can see the hit rate on this line, obviously, when he does play at home as well. Very, very solid hit rate for him. And I just think given how well he's been playing and the usage that he's going to see now, he may come off the bench. I think regardless, in this game, he's locked in for around 30-plus minutes tonight. I just think given the matchup, we look at other guards' fantasy score game log. Like, you could see the hit rate for guards. We're talking about Brandon Podzinski had 27.9, 10, 7, 5, and 1. Like, we can easily see like a line, like I think a solid like a comparison would be like Anthony Black, 23, 6, 1, and 4 steals. I'm not saying Mathurin's going to get 4 steals here, but you can just see the types of players that have been able to clear this line this season. First, the Wizards, right? Like Giddey, 34.7 fantasy. Dejounte Murray, 32, 6, and 3. I just think there's going to be a variety of ways for a scorer like Benedict Mathurin, who scores a ton of his points at the rim, actually. And we know, I think he scores like over 68% of his points at the rim. And we know that the Washington Wizards give up just a ton of points at the rim, especially over the last couple of games. So I like Benedict Mathurin here a lot. Over on Daily Grind Fantasy as well, which combines just odds for all the sports books here. and puts him into a fantasy score line. Benedict Mathurin has a 53.24% odds to hit. Again, according to the sportsbooks, his fantasy score line should be at 27.6. Again, there's a link in the description. You get a 7-day free trial with Daily Grind Fantasy as well. This is a research betting tool that I do use every single day as well, along with Outlier over here, which both links to these platforms are in the description below. But I think a great matchup for Benedict with no Tyrese Halliburton. He continues to see the highest futures on the team. I expect him to come out firing tonight in this matchup. So the second play is going to be an assist prop. I'm looking at Fred VanVleet over 7.5 assists against the Chicago Bulls. Now, we look at Fred VanVleet, and interestingly enough, on the season, he's actually averaging more assists on the road than he does at home. 9.2 assists per game on the road this season, compared to 8 on the at home. So, I mean, obviously that plays into a crazy 17 assist game that he had earlier this season. But we look at Fred VanVleet, right? We look at his last 10 games. He's over this line in only 4 of his last 10, but 3 of those misses have come at 7 assists. So the floor for this line is high, in my opinion. And we take a look at 2023 this season on the road, right? That line is a little bit inflated because of that 17 assists game that he did have, right? As far as averaging more assists on the road compared to at home. But he's had games of 12, 10, 16, 14, 12, and 8, 17 on the road this season. He's over 7 in 13 games on the road this season, which is a pretty decent hit rate. And considering this is just an absolute elite matchup, we look at even Fred VanVleet on the season, home versus away, regardless. He's hit this line in 19 of 34 games, which to me, for assist line at 7.5, given the matchup, is enough of a hit rate for me to be intrigued on this prop, just on hit rate alone, right? But we look at the matchup specifically, real quick, Fred VanVleet on the season is averaging 14.1 potential assists and 8.5 assists per game. So we're looking at him to just essentially hit his season average. But the matchup is just very, very strong. We know the Chicago Bulls have been bleeding assists to teams all season long. We look at guard players game log this season versus the Bulls, and this is literally just since December 18th. So less than a month. We've seen 6 different guards clear this line, but we've seen Trae Young have 13, Brunson have 13, and Tyrese Halliburton have 20 assists versus the Bulls here. Given that the Bulls, they do allow the 4th most 3-point attempts, right? They allow just a ton of catch-and-shoot threes. And with the pick and roll with Alperen Sengun as well, I think it just presents a ton of opportunities for VanVleet to get assists here. Literally just need 4 assists in each half in this game. And then given also this game being having, I think this is pretty close spread as well. 4-point spread, 216.5 over under. I like this matchup here a lot for Fred VanVleet. Given no Dylan Brooks, no Tari Eason, he's locked in. Fred VanVleet is literally probably plays the most minutes on the team. I'll have to look it up. But we look at it as just minutes game log this season. The minutes for him are just absolutely insane. This dude's playing so many minutes in a close matchup. Coming off a game, 39 minutes here. I just love this matchup. Fred VanVleet, I think over 7.5 assists is a good play. So these are the 2 plays for this YouTube video. Again, it's been a while since I've uploaded. I'm obviously locked in kind of on the NFL, but obviously when NFL season's over, we're locked in the NBA daily uploads here on this channel. So drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and as always, let's cash.